Enter the world, but tread with care. Those roots remember every prayer. Carved from ash, from bone, from flame. The sacred beasts don't play your game. Here change comes, swift on silver wing, with dragonflies that bite and sting. Truth flickers soft and sharp as steel, and every wound must learn to heal. Don't come armed with hollow lore. This world won't let you fake the war. For those who think they understand, you'll bleed the fastest by your hand. So read and ache, be torn apart. These stories rise from broken hearts. With grit and teeth they scream and soar. You've never known a world like this before.
Welcome to The Black Butterfly, Book 1 of the Sacred Blood series by Sarah Yuher. 6. Dragons, Swords, and Offerings. Lord Frostfang. The garden was quiet, snow gently falling on a cloudy night as Frostfang went through sword forms. The naked blade flashed in the light of the lanterns as it cut through the snowfall of the winter night. He flowed from one form to the next in a deadly dance of vampiric grace under the branches of the frost blossom tree in the garden center. Those flower-laden branches stretched out and formed a natural awning that sheltered the sand garden underneath it. The manor bordered two sides of the garden, and a cave bored into the mountain touched one side. Seraphina was curled up in front of that cave. The light from the lanterns made her cobalt scales sparkle in the night. The sight always reminded Frostfang of starlight reflecting off a lake at night. The dragon watched her rider dance with his blade, a dance she had seen him go through thousands of times, many times to the musical screams of the dying. Before the double doors that led into the antechamber of Frostfang's private rooms, his fledgling Rose was poised in a curtsy, patiently waiting for her night father to acknowledge her presence. She held a stack of papers in her hand pressed to her chest. The other hand delicately held her skirts, no doubt more RSVPs to the upcoming winter ball. A grain of irritation invaded the calm void he had built with his sword forms, the winter ball. Princess Ithra had sent a message to him at the beginning of autumn, ordering him to hold the ball and finally pick a handmaiden. Or better yet, choose two of the offerings, one to be his handmaiden and one to make his vampire mate. He banished the thought as he continued with his sword forms, rebuilding his bubble of calm peace. After a time, he heard Seraphina's voice clearly in his mind. Rose has been waiting patiently for over an hour. I know, he responded silently to her. Are you going to acknowledge her? Or will you leave her there to burn with the sunrise like you did with that messenger from Lord Remus? There was a hint of threat in those words. Seraphina would not be pleased if he let his night daughter burn with the sunrise. In time, Frostfang could feel Seraphina's disapproval through their bond with him, leaving Rose to wait. The dragon held an affection for his fledglings, Briar and Rose. Out of Lord Frostfang's fledglings, only Briar and Rose were directly sired by him. The rest were sired by either Briar or Rose. Princess Ithra was the only vampire outside of their kiss who knew this. Since she was the vampire who sired Frostfang, she needed only meet his fledglings to learn that truth. While she wanted him to sire more fledglings, she made little fuss about it. That's not true, he thought with a smile. The ghost figured it out once he tasted Rose's blood. As Frostfang finished his current set of forms, he briefly considered starting another one. The huff from Seraphina changed his mind. He sheathed his sword with the smooth movement born of centuries of practice, then headed to the double doors that led inside. As he passed by Rose, he lightly brushed his hand along her arm, his silent command for her to rise and follow him. He briefly wondered at the new perfume she had chosen that night. It smelled of fire lilies with the undertone of a campfire in the forest and freshly baked bread. The antechamber they entered had 3 sets of heavy double doors. One led to the rest of the manor, and the other 2 led to his bedroom and office. The stone walls were decorated with tapestries depicting battles he had fought against other vampire lords and ladies. The columns had dragons and mountains carved into them intricately. Various weapons also decorated the walls and stands around the room, each one taken from some vampire that had the bright idea of taking him on in battle. Foolish to go against the Dragon Lord. I wonder if someone will try again soon, he mused, itching for a fight. The fountain that dominated the center of the room was made from white marble, and clear water flowed from 3 carved dragon heads into a wide basin that housed koi fish. At the top was a perfect likeness of Seraphina facing the glass doors that led out to Frostfang's private garden. 5 stonemasons had died before the 6th had presented the masterwork. That mason had also been the one to carve the columns, Loren. When he finished, Frostfang ordered Rose to awaken him to the blood as a reward for a well-done job. He had proven to not only be an excellent mason, he was a proficient architect as well. For the last 300 years, he had been in charge of building any new buildings needed for Frostfang's hold. The Dampiers sired by him led his small army of human builders. Loki had been awakened in much the same way. Rose had grown tired of paying for blood wine imported from Lady Elise's vineyards or Lady Ariel's island, especially when they would gouge prices for anyone not of their sire's lines. When Loki produced an exceptional wine that pleased Rose, she sired him into the kiss, even granting the blood to his brother Minden when he explained that Minin knew the soil and land to produce the fruit for the wine. Minin wasn't just talented at growing grapes for wine, he was also valuable at governing the farms so they were at peak proficiency. Rose, his left hand, the one who governed his lands and accounts and ran the spy network that kept him informed of the goings-on among the other lords and ladies. The network grew as his hold grew, and he mused if she needed help soon. 5 years ago, one of his Night brothers had displeased their Night mother so much she had offhandedly ordered Frostfang to slay him and take his hold for his own. That was when the Damper, Kieran Briardal Bloodoath, had earned the name Ghost, and it was revealed he had a unique talent for tracing sire lines. He had seen the truth of my fledglings that night. The fool, Doriath, only had a few cotton farms, and once Minin had taken a look at them, he had ripped the head farmer's head off for how poorly they were run. Now, they ran smoothly, and instead of importing cotton, Minin assured Frostfang that they could export cotton within the next few years. As a reward, Frostfang had told him that after he had chosen the offering he wanted, Minin may choose one as well before the auction was completed. As he went through the doors that led to his office, he held the door for Rose as she followed him quietly. The room was decorated in the same manner as the previous one, except at one end of the room opposite the doors was a mahogany desk with a matching chair set. They were a masterwork of carpentry and polished to a beautiful shine. He would not have chosen it for himself, but his Night daughter insisted he flaunt his wealth to visiting vampires. "You do like the gold and silver inlay on the desk," Seraphina teased him. "How could I not like a depiction of you sleeping beneath the frost blossom tree with petals falling around you like snow?" He sighed inwardly with envy for his Night son, Briar, and the vampire generals he had sired. They could pick the simple stuff, and Rose didn't nag them about it. To one side of the room was a marble fireplace with a low table and couch. A slave had come through recently to tend the burning fire within it. As a vampire, temperature had little meaning to him, but any necromancers that visited generally appreciated the attention to detail. Human slaves and damper servants also needed warmth. There was no point in letting them die from hypothermia in the cold winters of the Eternal Mountains. Opposite the fireplace, against the wall, was a small wine bar with a few selections of wine bottles. Most of them were from Loki's winery. The ones made from the spring berries from the frost blossom tree in his garden were locked away for his own use. Those wines were always made with human mage blood. Damper blood always ruined the flavor. A crystal decanter, filled with a dark red wine that looked like blood, sat next to a matching set of crystal glasses. It was a plum wine made with the blood of a damper that was a favorite of Rose's by the smell of it. He absently wondered if the servant that had changed it out did so by her order, or if it had been by chance. "You made Rose wait an awfully long time. I think you owe her a drink. Especially if it was one of her favorites," Seraphina's voice flitted through his mind. Frostfang went to the wine bar, poured 2 glasses of dark liquid from the decanter, and then handed one to Rose. Sitting on the couch, he indicated to her to sit with him. Rose took the glass and set the papers on the low table before gracefully sitting beside her Night father. She looked into Frostfang's eyes at the ice-blue dragon eye next to his red-ringed sapphire eye. "Thank you, Seraphina," She smiled and nodded her thanks to the dragon before taking an appreciative sip of wine. Frostfang closed his eyes and felt the dragon retreat more into her own mind. When he opened them again, both eyes were his red-ringed sapphire. He took a sip from his cup and nodded to the papers she had set on the table. While plum wine wasn't his favorite, he could appreciate Loki's talent in the craft. Rose set her glass on one of the coasters on the table and picked up her papers. She was fussy about treating the polished wood with care. All of the lords and ladies invited to the ball next month have returned their responses. They have all said they would be in attendance, except for Lord Apollo. Lord Godric never responded to the invitation. No surprise there. And Lord Remus is still cross about you letting his latest messenger burn in the sun last year. He has demanded that you give him one of the offerings you do not choose as payment for the loss. Saying, she hunted down the letter from Remus. Vampire messengers are the most valuable of all in any vampire's holdings. I feel no regret that Apollo is unable to attend. The last time he was here, it took you 50 years to get rid of him, and he kept trying to put garlands of flowers on me, Seraphina commented. I am also pleased I will not have to smell one of those filthy wyverns Lord Godric is so fond of. But you would look so pretty with garlands of flowers, Frostfang countered. He agreed with her about the wyverns, though. Lord Godric rarely left his island. When he did, two beasts always went with him. And you and Apollo would make a nice pair of matching ice sculptures. Then maybe he should have taught the vampire better manners or sent a damper, Frostfang responded aloud to Rose. The messenger had used the staircase that connected Frostfang's private garden to the lower gardens it overlooked to enter uninvited. He had also severely injured the guard who had been on duty that night. Frostfang trapped the vampire in a cage of ice to burn in the sun when he left him there at dawn, and sent the ashes to Lord Remus. Frostfang swirled the contents of his glass as he remembered something his grandfather had always said. Hubris dulls the blade and weakens the mind, he said absently as he watched the dark liquid. If I remember correctly, Night Father, you decapitated every damper messenger Lord Remus had sent prior. I believe he hoped that if he sent a vampire messenger, you would finally listen to his request that you send him one of the dragon eggs you had taken from his late blood brother, Lord Draken. She said pleasantly as she sipped from her glass. 40 years ago, Lord Draken had found 5 dragon eggs and demanded that Frostfang turn Seraphina over to him so he could begin breeding his own dragons. He had boasted that not even the great dragon Lord Frostfang, with his dragon Seraphina, could stand against the might of 5 dragons and Lord Draken's larger army. He had sent his damper son with that boastful message, overconfident in the man's skill with a sword. Frostfang and Briar had watched as Maverick had bested the fool. The general had been barely past boyhood at the time. They had both been impressed by the man's personal human slave's loyalty and natural, untrained skill with the sword. Frostfang ordered Briar to awaken Byron to the blood that night and offered the gift of the blood to Maverick. When Maverick had declined, Frostfang had promoted him to general and given him command of Canem Academy. General Maverick had proven his worth and the wisdom of the choice tenfold. Byron had been the one to return his old damper master's head to his vampiric father, Lord Draken. Vampire law forbids the killing of a vampire lord's fledgling within the first 10 years of their awakening. The insult message and refusal were crystal clear, though your damper son was weaker than his human slave, who I have claimed as my own night son. I also refuse your demand for Seraphina. Rose's spies in his court had let them know that the eggs were dormant and had not hatched. Draken had come to Winter Manor and challenged Frostfang directly in a foolish move. If he won, Seraphina was to be handed over to him. If Frostfang won, the eggs would be handed over to him. Draken never even stood a chance, and when he tried to kill Frostfang anyway, he ended up with a sword through his still heart. The heads of his personal slaves, damper and human alike, decorate the walls of Winter Manor's guest garden. Those skulls were still there as a reminder to any guest walking through the garden of Lord Frostfang's actions to those who challenged him. I wonder if I should swap the skulls in the garden with the skulls of Remus slaves and servants? Frostfang wondered out loud. Those eggs were now in a case on the mantel of the fireplace in his private bedroom, protected by blood magic that would only unlock for Frostfang himself. If he died, the seal would be broken, and whoever killed him would be able to claim the eggs for themselves. I have not changed my mind about the eggs. I think sending him the head of every messenger he has sent would have been a clear answer. I thought killing the first vampire he sent 18 years ago was clear enough, he said as he finished his glass of wine. If he wants one of the offerings I do not pick, he can bid on them in the silent auction with all the rest of the lords and ladies. Frostfang finished his glass and sighed wistfully. Too bad ordering Minden to choose whichever offering that pathetic excuse of a lord bids on wouldn't be a worthy gift for his work with the cotton fields. Though knowing that greedy rat, if Minden chooses an exceptional offering for his own, it will be one Remus had wanted, he mused thoughtfully. Rose nodded. As you wish, Night Father. I will send him your answer, though I doubt he will be pleased. Speaking of offerings, the last of them has arrived from General Maverick, and I must say he has quite outdone himself this year. He only sent one, but the girl is worth more than all the others. Physically, she is healthy and beautiful, and her blood holds power within it, a lot of power. She continued. General Maverick always sends exceptional offerings, many with power in their blood. He responded as he got up to refill his glass. The general's offerings were always pleasing, and many were sent to Loki and his Dampiers at the winery. None were killed, and all were well cared for. Frostfang frowned at the memory of one offering years ago. Chocolate hair like silk and eyes the color of amber. When the Lord had declined her, he had offered her to Maverick's son, Horus. Some years later, the Dampiers had come to him, the woman bound in shackles with a human male. While on a war campaign, the woman betrayed Horus and became pregnant with the human male's child. Horus requested both be killed. Maverick asked the woman to be banished to a village near Kanem Academy. Frostfang did as the general asked and drained the male slave himself. That he does, but this one is even more exceptional than the damper offering that Lord Ferris has sent, Rose said as she skimmed over the reports for each of the two offerings. Her voice brought him back to the present from the past. Once she found the news she wanted, she added, this offering even surpasses offering Amaranth, some 26 years ago. Amaranth, that was the woman's name. Frostfang raised an eyebrow at that. Isn't the damper one of his direct children? Oh yes, it seems he has been quite pleased with the werewolf pups General Maverick sent him in your name, Rose answered. Maybe it's about time I did as my night mother wishes and sire another fledgling. If anyone deserves the honor, it's General Maverick Briar Dalbloodoth. He mused as he tapped his fingers on his glass. His grandson, Kieran, is here at this moment. He was the one who brought his offering to Winter Manor. We could send him back to Kanem Academy with your offer. If he declines, we could always extend the offer to Kieran. He is young and strong and has served you just as faithfully as his father and grandfather, Rose suggested. I also believe his strange ability will be unaffected by being awakened to the blood, and his seed will still be viable for breeding more like him. That sounds like a fine idea. However, we'll wait until after the ball to extend the offer. Knowing Maverick, he is most likely coming himself with the guards you requested from him. He could feel the press of the coming dawn. Frostfang downed the drink, and then set the glass on the wine bar. I believe that will be all for tonight, Night Daughter. You have done well. Rose stood and curtsied deeply in her beautiful green dress. Thank you, Night Father. She finished her drink and set the glass with the others. Before leaving, she placed the bundle of papers on the desk for Frostfang to look through himself in his own time. With another curtsy, she left. Frostfang went over to the desk and looked at the name written across the top of the top paper in neat handwriting. Erlia's is a pretty name. Seraphina spoke up. He could feel her looking at the paper through his eyes. It was always an odd feeling, but comforting in its way. It's a beautiful name, he responded.
O Father, have we failed you? O Mother, have you turned your back on us? What price must we pay for you to send your child unto us? For the chained and the scarred, for the broken and the damned, let us never forget the redemption price. Father, may you break our chains. O Mother, may you heal our scars. What price must we pay for you to send your child unto us? For the chained and the scarred, for the broken and the damned, let us never forget the redemption price. O Father, can we be redeemed? O Mother, what is life and death? What price must we pay for you to send your child unto us? For the chained and the scarred, for the broken and the damned, let us never forget the redemption price.